अभी तो कोई बोल ही नहीं रहा। क्या ऐसे चुप कराऊंगा सर, मैडम ने तो चुप हो गया। क्या आसपास चुप रहना, ये रिकॉर्ड होगा तो वॉइस में आता है। रिकॉर्डिंग कर दो।
They say when curious minds gather together, meaningful conversations are bound to happen. Funny, looking at this amazing gathering today, I think we are all wondering what are we exactly here for? Well, Nehal, today we are not just here for another event, but we are here to discuss a global issue that connects global decisions with everyday realities. So, a very good afternoon to one and all. It's an absolute honor to welcome you all to the I Think Fund Discussion 2026. Today, I am Rohini of BA Economics second year, and I, Parijan of BA Economics second year, will be your anchors for this event, leading you through an exciting journey filled with insights, inspiration, and enriching experience. Before we move ahead, let's take a moment to acknowledge a prestigious institute. Jagan Institute of Management Studies, Sector 5, Rohini, was established in 1993 and is ranked among the top 100 management schools in India by NIRF, and it is rated A++ by NAC. GIMS is one of the highest ranking institutes in Delhi NCR. It offers undergraduate and postgraduate programs in management, information technology like FPM, PGDM, PGDM International Business, PGDM Retail Management, MCA, disorders. And we gather here to explore a topic that is not just academic, but deeply global and highly relevant. That is, who really pays the domestic impact of America's tariff policies on India. A topic that examines how America's tariff policies directly affect global industries, consumers, and overall economic growth of various countries. And you know what's exciting is we will be having a dual combination of both role play and panel discussion to take you all on an engaging and exciting journey. Now it's my honor to welcome our Visionary Academy leader, Dr. Rohini ma'am. I request ma'am to please come up on the stage.
Education is the greatest gift I think we can give to any individual. And when I look back, I see that there is a lot and a huge paradigm shift to the entire education system. Today, we see that lot of exposure to all of you and got a lot of attention. You're not just passive players, you're active participants in the shaping the entire academic landscape. And I really feel proud to see that you all are self-motivated to participate in this panel discussion. And I must congratulate Dr. Jyotsna and Dr. Navneet for bringing up students in such an event and giving them opportunity in this initiative. And with these, such kind of platforms and with such kind of places, you all can hone your leadership skills. You can develop critical thinking and gain invaluable experience in communication. And I would also like to say that the power of education is not just acquiring it. The power of education is debating with it, challenging with it, and sharing it with the other students as well. So by participating in such an event like panel discussion, where you not just play the role of a moderator and a panelist or a role play actor, you are not just learning, but you are also contributing in the collective intellectual thought process of all the students. So all the very best to all the participants, and congratulations to all the organizers and the faculty judges. And also I would like to welcome our proud alumni Gaurav. He's here with us. He is completing in batch 1350. Welcome Gaurav in the panel discussion. So all the very best, and thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request Dr. Silky Adar ma'am to please facilitate the topic with you.
Thank you.
It's time to welcome our esteemed judge for today's panel, whose journey truly reflects excellence, leadership, and global vision. We are delighted to welcome Mr. Gaurav Bajwan, an accomplished sales and hospitality leader currently based in Delhi, India, a proud alumnus of Rohini, where he completed his PGDM in marketing and international business. Mr. Bajwan brings over 14 years of experience in sales strategy, key account management, and operations within the premium beverages and hospitality industry. He's currently serving as an area sales manager at Ace Beverages Private Limited, leading regional sales strategy across Delhi, UP, and Haryana. Over the years, he has held key leadership roles in Naram Group, Carlsberg Group, Diageo India, and Tina 91, managing premium portfolios and large distribution networks across North India. Today, given his extensive experience in the beverage industry, an industry deeply influenced by international trade policies, import duties, supply chain shifts, and changing consumer markets, we are honored to have him join us for the panel discussion on the topic who really pays the domestic impact of America's tariff policies on India, bringing his global perspective, analytical experience, and passion for sustainable leadership to this event. We are truly honored to have you, sir, with us today. Now, we would like to honor Sheetal Chadda ma'am, our esteemed faculty member, as a judge for today's panel discussion. She will be joining us shortly. Moving forward, behind every successful event, there are visionary mentors who guide and support us at every step. So, let's give a warm welcome to the brilliant minds behind this incredible panel, Dr. Jyotsna Oswal ma'am and Dr. Navdeep Joshi sir. This event would not have been possible without their vision and dedication. A huge thank you to both of you for making this happen. Absolutely, Pali. Their guidance truly made this platform possible for us today. And as we are all aware, that we are in collaboration with the Academic Club. So let's give a warm welcome to the conveners of this club, Dr. Deepak Chahan sir and Latika ma'am. Now I request Pail Gupta, President of ITHINK, to come up on the stage and address the audience.
Good afternoon, everyone. Respected judges, faculty, and my dear participants, it is truly a pleasure to be standing here as the president of the ITHINK panel. My journey began in my first semester when Jyotsna asked me to try something new, to write a script for 6 minutes and speak in front of 100 people, and honestly, it was horrifying. But somewhere between the nervous beginning and the final applause, something changed. That fear turned into confidence. That one stage gave me a voice I didn't know I had. It sparked the will to grow, to speak, and right then I knew that I wanted to be a part of ITHINK throughout my entire college journey. Over the years, I have done role plays, anchored multiple events, worked as a social media head, and given my all to this panel. But ITHINK gave me even more in return: confidence, clarity, and a stronger version of myself. And today, watching these young minds step onto this stage, building their speaking skills and confidence feels incredibly fulfilling, because I see a little bit of my first semester set in them. I think it's more than a panel. It's a platform that transforms fears into strength. And with that, I, Vaishnuta, officially signing off. Hope that each one of you continues to contribute to ITHINK and help make it bigger and better in the years to come. Thank you so much.
And now, the moment we have all been eagerly waiting for. With great excitement, we have the honor of seeking permission from our incredible organizers to officially kickstart this spectacular event. Shall we begin? Thank you. And to make things even more exciting this time, the audience will also be receiving a special pen drive for the most insightful question asked during the Q&A at the end of the panel discussion. So don't hold back. Keep those brilliant questions coming. And that's not all. The winners will also be receiving a voucher worth ₹1,000 from Internshala. And I think it's a great opportunity for the winners. That definitely raises the stakes for you. And along with that, our participants will also be competing for various titles today. Best panelist, awarded to the participant who delivers the most insightful and impactful contributions during the panel discussion. Best speaker, this award honors the individual who demonstrates exceptional public speaking skills. Showstopper, awarded to the most memorable performer who truly steals the spotlight and captivates the audience with an unforgettable performance. Best Actor. This award honors an individual who showcases extraordinary acting skills and stage presence. This time, we are also delighted to announce that we have extended some new additions to the list of titles. The newly introduced titles this year are
Best Character Portrayal, awarded to the performer who brings their character to life with depth.
Best Supporting Actor. This award honors strong and impactful performances in a supporting role.
Best Dialogue Delivery, awarded to the participant who demonstrate exceptional clarity, expression, timing, and voice modulation while delivering the dialogues.
Now I know you're all buzzing with excitement and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Today, we will deep dive into the global issue of trade wars, rising tariffs, and their effects across economies. Get ready to explore how America's tariff policies are reshaping global markets, impacting industries, and influencing consumers like us.
While speaking of the deeper insights, today is not just for discussion, it's also about expression, analysis, and young voices contributing to global conversations. That brings us to the most awaited and special moment of today's event.
We are delighted to announce the launch of the 8th edition of Horizon Magazine, the biannual magazine brought to you by the students of BA Economics Honors.
Horizon has always been a student-led initiative that provides a platform for young economists, thinkers, and writers to express their views.
This edition is particularly significant because it explores a topic that captured worldwide attention and has major impact on India's economic landscape.
The theme of Horizon's 8th edition is Trumponomics, India in the Crossfire.
Through this edition, our writers have attempted to decode how global economic policies, trade tensions, and political shifts can influence India's growth story.
So let's give a huge round of applause for the announcement of the 8th edition of Horizons magazine.
Before we proceed further, it's important to acknowledge the dedicated team behind the Horizon magazine. We would like to extend a heartfelt appreciation to Dr. Jyotsna Bhoswal, convener of the magazine, along with Satya Kaur and Nishant Taneja, presidents and editors-in-chief of the Horizon magazine. Their vision, leadership, and continuous guidance has made this edition a remarkable success. Let's give them a huge round of applause.
Now, I would like to invite Dr. Praveen Arora ma'am and our esteemed faculty members to kindly come up on the stage for the official launch of the Horizon magazine.
Little bit more research. Yes, and you look at the camera. Wait, wait.
As we celebrate this edition, we are also delighted to share that the next edition of the Horizon magazine will be officially released during the farewell ceremony. We encourage each one of you to actively participate and contribute your ideas, creativity, and voice. Horizon is your platform to express, to explore, and to engage. For further details, please contact the presidents. Let your voices be heard, let your creativity shine, and let your ideas shape the next horizon. And with this, we officially conclude the launch of Horizon's 8th edition. We hope this magazine inspires you to have deeper conversations and encourages you all to keep questioning, writing, and exploring economics beyond classroom. Now, without any further delay, let's shift back to the heart of today's discussion to grasp a deeper knowledge of the topic with the aid of an engaging roleplay. So let's welcome the narrator of our roleplay, who will help us visualize how tariff policies affect governments across the globe. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are you waiting for? Let's welcome them with a huge round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's story is about global trade, how goods move across borders, how money moves faster than people, and how decisions taken by powerful leaders slowly reach ordinary lives. In recent years, the US imposed tariffs, extra taxes on imported goods to protect their own industries. On paper, tariffs look strong, they look patriotic, they look smart. But trade does not stop at borders. When one country raises barriers, factories slow down, jobs are affected, and prices rise. So today, we ask one simple question. When government decide, who really pays? Part 1. Every global crisis begins, not in factories or markets, but in rooms of power. Scene 1, the White House.
Wow, what an incredible crowd. I walked in and said, these are smart people. Very smart, believe me. Today is a big day, a very big day. Some call it bold, and some are calling it controversial. They're all wrong. It's long overdue. We're here to talk about trade. And for years, decades even, America has been treated very unfairly. Other countries sell us everything, and we buy it all. Well, not anymore. Now, people keep asking me, sir, what exactly is a tariff? And it's better if I show you myself. Tariffs are simple. When other countries want to sell in America, they pay a little extra. Now, let me be clear. This is not about America hating on other countries. We love other countries. We love India. I think Mr. Modi, he's a smart guy, he's a great fellow, and he's a great friend of America. We love Europe, and we love China. Friendship means respect and not bad deals. So today, we stand strong, we protect our workers and industries. It has always been America first and not America alone. Thank you, God bless you, God bless America.
USA! USA! USA!
Scene 2, the global reaction. After the announcement, countries across the world begin reacting. Some leaders support protecting their economies, while others worry about fighting rising prices and trade conflicts. Let us watch how global leaders respond to it.
A very good evening, everyone present here. Welcome you Prime Minister, the US has undertaken global trade. What is it these achieve?
It's a big belief in protecting workers. But protection should not become punishment.
So are these tariffs good or bad for Europe?
They are good for things, not always good for short periods.
Okay, so should the tariffs affect higher prices?
Let's not pretend others. If tariffs rise, cost rises. First company says it's manageable. Then family says, why is pasta suddenly a luxury item?
What is your message to global leaders?
Simple. Think beyond headlines. People don't measure policy, they measure prices.
Thank you. Please have a seat. Up next, we have Mr. City.
Assalamualaikum, ya gents. Tariff? अरे मैं तो ये भीड़ देखने आ गया और हाँ आप सभी का शुक्रिया। अगर ऐसा ही चलता रहा तो यकीनन एक दिन पूरे शहर में हमारी हुकूमत होगी। इस दुनिया में जो चल रहा है उसको चलने दे। हम पाकिस्तानियों को उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता। इंशाल्लाह was better yesterday.
Up next, we have Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi, with us.
मित्रों, आप सभी को मेरा प्रणाम। जैसा कि आप देख रहे हैं, यह भारत भारी ताकतें भारत को नीचे गिराने की कोशिश करती आ रही है, मगर अब समय आ चुका है वापस जवाब देने का। यह नया भारत है, यह आत्मनिर्भर भारत है। हिंदुस्तान
जिंदाबाद!
हिंदुस्तान
जिंदाबाद!
We will be right back after a short break. Stay tuned to know what's coming ahead.
I am glad that you are here.
क्या कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे?
मैं फंटेज कर रहा था अपने पाकिस्तानी इतनी मार खाओगे ना पूरी जिंदगी टेस्टी करते रह जाओगे। भगवान ने क्या तब सुने का दिया सबसे बहाना
Welcome back, everyone. Show studies. Let's welcome President of China, Mr. Pinpo. Please, what do you want to say?
Mr. Brown is saying America is no good. So much fight in the world. We are here to earn money, only profit, no enemy.
Oh, so do these tariffs support Chinese economy?
Mr. Brown is saying trade is like a tea, and China loves tea, and tariffs are like matcha, and people like it because it is trend. So yes, it will affect our economy.
Mr. Pinpo,
Stay tuned for something. Scene 3. Indian businesses set. Now we move to India, where a factory owner and his team are learning how these tariffs are affecting their business. Cancelled orders, financial stress are forcing companies to rethink their future.
जी आपने टीवी में देखा मैं टैरिफ इंप्लीमेंट हो गया हमारे ऊपर तारीफ नहीं तारीफ मतलब टैक्सेस क्या बात कर रहे हो बेटू बाबा लगाओ चैनल जरा
अमेरिकन प्रेसिडेंट मिस्टर ट्रम्प ने अनाउंस किया कुछ नए टैक्स जिसने पूरे ग्लोबल ट्रेड में तहलका मचा दिया।
एक और ये वाला भी क्या हो गया पापा इतने ऑर्डर आ रहे हैं क्या रेट की आज तो मिला सब आ रहे हैं सारे ऑर्डर कैंसिल हो गए ऑर्डर आए थे पोपट भाई की शादी अरे क्यों टेंशन ले रहा है पापा बहुत पड़ते हमारे पास मिनट दूंगा का अटैकिंग है हमारे पास मुझसे कुछ काम नहीं सेठ जी वो सेठ जी मुझसे ना गलती हो गई पापा इस ओवर में गलती ऑर्डर भैया इतना बड़ा धंधा खोल के बैठे हैं मार्केट में अब तुम कह रहे हो फंड्स खत्म हो गए क्या करूं ताला मार दूं दुकान पर जी ऐसे काले वाले को जानता हूं बुला लूं नॉनसेंस अक्ल है तुम्हें जी मेरे मना करने के बावजूद भी ये नगार बावरे से ले गया था ये महेश भाई होने वाले रमेश भाई इस चक्कर में सभी को लॉस हो रहा है ये बाहर लोगों तो बावरी के चक्कर में डुबाएगा हमारी दुकान और आपको तो फर्ज बनता है मुझे बताने का लड्डू पाका ऐसा है मुझे कुछ नहीं पता ये प्रॉब्लम को ठीक करो हम मुझे फांसी ना अपनी स्कीम जाओ तुम ना जाओ फाइनेंस रिपोर्ट ला के दो मुझसे तो क्या सेट जा रहा है फाइनेंस रिपोर्ट करने वाला क्या क्या अरे रे सेठी कहां जा रहे हो दुकान का शटर बढ़ाने जा रहा हूं बंद करने की कगार पे ले आए हो क्या था भतीजा बेटे लोगो बात किया ना ऐसा समझ लूंगा फलानी है करता हूं भी भागा बॉय हेलो बेटी आप परेशान मत हो बेटी आप जो भी प्रॉब्लम है ना इसका सॉल्यूशन हम निकाल देंगे बेटी आप करते रहो आपके लिए कुछ फ्रेंड रोटी बोलो तो मानो भागा जरा अभी लाया
Scene 4. American businesses. Meanwhile, in the United States, some local businesses see this policy as an opportunity. With imports becoming expensive, domestic companies hope for more customers and higher profits. Let us see how this decision brings to them.
Basket today's newspaper.
Just after the Emily, is that how you talk to your mother? Behave yourself. There's a coffee.
Oh my God! This is the
the best news I've ever read. New tariffs on automobile parts. Is this so profitable for business?
Smiling, looking at the paper to find it straight. It must be something serious. How exactly does that help us?
Just think about it. Import parts will now be more expensive. Garages and dealerships will now prefer locally made components. Our factory has been struggling with this for so long. So beneficial for us.
Does that mean a stock company has unfair competition?
Maybe someday I'm waiting. But yes, maybe we will. If orders increase, we might even expand it next year.
Expansion sounds good, but it means more work week. So are you ready for that?
After the past few years, absolutely. I'd rather be busy than worry about layoffs. And it would be beneficial for the community.
Does that mean we can finally afford limited consulting now?
Yes, we can. You wanna come?
Who's gonna stop me? I will. I mean, is that how you really follow? Stop behaving like this. I won't go. Whatever I do, I will like me.
Do you want it?
Because you're asking for it. You're lying for it. Get out of that home. What do you do? You're married for 2 weeks now. And I guess it's nice seeing you home again. Policies change and market shifts. So don't celebrate too early.
Relax, calm down.
Seriously, after all this chaos? Oh!
As you all have witnessed firsthand, the tariff implementation is changing America. There have been many leaders before me, but it is my administration. It is me who is making America great again. God bless America. USA. USA. USA.
Wow, that was absolutely electrifying. What an unforgettable journey we just experienced. We hope it gave you a clearer perspective on how America's tariff policies impact global trade. Let's give another huge round of applause for that thought-provoking.
Now that we have gained valuable insights into the far-reaching effects of policies, we will continue our tradition with the panel discussion. We are excited to welcome our esteemed experts who are ready to dive deeper into this critical global issue and explore who truly bears the cost of these economic strategies.
Let's give a warm welcome to Khushi Barwa, who will be coordinating today's discussion. With her energy and insights, we are aiming for an engaging and thought-provoking question. Let's give her a huge round of applause.
Everyone, welcome to our panel discussion on the topic who really pays the domestic impact of America's tariff policies on India. I am Khushi Barwa, your moderator of the day, as introduced by our panelists. We are fortunate to have a group of panelists who will share their insights and perspective on this important issue. Our goal is to foster a thoughtful and to understand better about this topic. Before further ado, let's invite our wonderful panelists on the stage. We have Anmol Chopra from BBA third year representing India. Soni from BBA first year representing Mexico. Aditi Jain from BBA second year representing Vietnam. From BBA third year initiating the panel. Let's welcome the panelists with a huge round of applause. Participate by asking questions and sharing your thoughts. Please feel free to raise your hand or use the provided microphone. Talking about today's topic, who really pays the domestic impact of America's tariff policies on India? Today, we aim to explore the broader
economic, political, and social consequences of these tariff policies and understand their true global impact. I'm personally very curious to hear diverse perspectives on this issue. I wonder which one of our panelists would like to begin by sharing their insights on who really pays the price of America's tariff. May I just yes, you may come up. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me start with a simple question. When the United States imposes tariffs, who do we think pays for it? Most people would say the other country. But that's where the story gets interesting. Tariffs are announced at the border, but its impact is driven. It's impacted the society, and it also impacts certain situations. Tariffs can be announced at the border, but are felt at the supermarket. In the US, tariffs are often announced for protecting domestic industries and jobs. But for US consumers, it can mean higher prices on everyday goods. For US markets, it can mean higher prices on imported products and also certain markets. Now let's shift the lens to India. Indian exporters don't pay tariffs directly, but they still feel the pressure. When the prices rise in the US, demand can fall. And to stay competitive, Indian firms often absorb part of the cost, which affects profits, expansion plans, and even employment. So while the tariff isn't written in India's name, its impact is very real. At the same time, tariffs also impact global economy as a whole. When trade patterns change, it can shaken up the international market. Businesses delay investment, supply chains become less predictable, and other developing smaller countries often face instability without having say in this decision. In a world that is deeply interconnected, one country's trade policies rarely stays confined within its own borders. As companies reduce dependence on India, countries like China, countries' dependence on China, also they are looking for alternatives as India, Vietnam, and Mexico. This can create opportunities, but only for economies that are ready with the right infrastructure, policies, and supply chain reliability. So the real picture is mixed. Tariffs can protect, but they can also distort. They can create winners in some sectors, but pressure in others. And that brings us back to our central question: who really? American consumer paying more at the checkout counter? Is it the Indian exporter absorbing losses? Or is it the global economy paying through inefficiency and uncertainty? Today's panel discussion brings together perspectives from all around the globe and to unpack these questions from different angles. Thank you.
Well, we couldn't have asked for a better introduction to the topic. Thank you for setting the context so clearly. As we examine who truly bears the cost of America's tariff policies, it is important to hear from the countries that have experienced these tariffs in different ways. To begin with, India has faced tariff barriers on sectors such as steel, aluminium, and certain exports, now influencing trade balances and policy negotiations. Would India like to share its perspective on how these tariff measures have shaped the economy?
Yes, Kushi, I would like to.
Yes, you may have more.
हम ज्यादा दाम देने के लिए तैयार हैं, पर हम समझौता नहीं करेंगे. These were the words of our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Damodar Das Modi when US increased the tariffs. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let's deeply dive into the situation. If we talk about India's exports, then yes, they have fallen a lot in the industries like aluminium, steel, and textile. It might seem that US has imposed the tariffs to safeguard its own industries, but in reality, it has traveled far beyond its own borders. Let me quote a simple example. If we talk about the major steel manufacturing companies of India like Tata Steel, JSW Steel, and SAIL, they have seen major demand drops recently. And also, the textile exporters from the states like Tripura and Surat have struggled. Now, if we talk about the businesses of India, large organizations have the power to diversify and absorb shocks. But
in reality, what about the small-scale organizations? I am afraid they do not have the same power. Because for them, one policy change can decide the question for survival or shutdown. If we talk about the next thing, which is India's economy as a whole, then yes, lower exports affect the foreign exchange earnings, industrial outputs, and even the investors' confidence in the country. However, in this negative, all the negative things, there is a single positive thing which I would like to say. India has tried promoting its MSMEs and its small-scale corporations, but such kind of commitments take a lot of time, money, and efforts. In conclusion, yes, I must say that US tariff policies have impacted India's trade, its businesses, and even its economy as a whole. But this is not the real need. The real question is, who really pays the price? Gaurav sir, good afternoon. What do you think? Who really pays the price for all this?
I think the laborers.
Yeah, you're certainly right. The real price payers are the common people. The worker who is facing his job just snatched out of his hand overnight. The farmer who is getting paid a lot less for the same amount of efforts he used to make it earlier. That is why India should diversify its markets and also assert its voice on platforms like the World Trade Organizations, not just to protect its trade figures, but also the people behind it. And in the end, I would just like to say one line. How India will react today, it will determine its position in the economy tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anmol, for explaining how US tariffs on steel and other exports affected India's trade competitiveness and policy responses. This brings us to another country deeply connected to the US economy, one whose industries are tightly woven into American supply chains. Would Mexico like to share how tariff uncertainty has impacted its manufacturing and agricultural sectors? Yes, Kushi, I would love to. Yes, you may, Navya. Good afternoon, everyone. Let us imagine something. It's 6 a.m. in a Mexican border town. A factory worker turns on the radio and hears.
Breaking news. The United States has imposed new tariffs on Mexican goods.
At first, it feels like a distant political news, something which is discussed far away in offices and press conferences. But within weeks, the orders begin to fall. Factory shifts are reduced, and that headline slowly turned into a smaller picture. Fun fact, Mexico is a trading nation, and nearly 80% of our exports go to United States. Our automobile plants, manufacturing hubs, and agriculture producers operate through supply chains that cross border every single day. Now, I would like to ask you guys a question. What do these factories mean to the people? Anyone?
Very important.
Important, yes. Anyone else?
Very crucial.
Yes.
To provide livelihood.
Yes. In cities like Tijuana, Ciudad Juarez, and Monterrey, factories are not the abstract economic units. They are the backbone of the local livelihoods. So, when tariffs make our goods more expensive in the US, the demand declines. And as the demand declines, production process slows down. And what is presented as trade strategy quickly becomes cancelled over time. Due to which wages shrinks, contracts become uncertain, unfortunately leading to unemployment. In border communities, economic shifts are felt almost immediately, not in theory, but in paychecks. Small suppliers that depend on export industries also struggle to survive. Even our President Andres Manuel preferred negotiation over escalation, knowing that a trade fight would directly affect the workers and the families across Mexico. However, the impact does not stop at employment. When the prices and the companies adjust to higher prices, the prices in the domestics begin to rise. And the families in the when the prices are higher, the the people domestically pay the price. The main question arises again, who really pays? Well, anyone wants to answer?
Maybe farmers.
The answer is pretty simple. It's neither the negotiators nor the policymakers. The burden falls on the farmers who lost access to the markets, on families whose spendings change month after month, and on workers who lost their incomes. In the end, I would just like to say one thing. Behind every trade decision, there is a human cost. And that is the true nature of the global trade. People end up paying the price for the policies that cross borders. Thank you. Thank you, Naga, for highlighting how integrated supply chains mean that tariffs don't just affect one side, they disrupt the entire production networks. If Mexico shows us the impact of interdependence, Vietnam presents another dimension. How trade tensions can redirect global manufacturing hubs. Would Vietnam like to share how these tariff shifts have influenced its economic growth and opportunities? Yes, Kushri, I would like to share my insight. Yes, you may, Aditi. Thank you, Kushri. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. And in the global trade, until nations confront the true cost of tariffs beyond protectionism, the progress will still remain as an illusion rather than a reality. So let me ask you something. That in a game of chess, when a king moves, who suffers first? Is it the king? It's the pawns. And the global trade works the same way. When powerful countries make policy decisions, the impact is not supported at the top. It is fed by the farmers, the workers, the small exporters, and sometimes the entire economies. And today, the story is about Vietnam. Over the last decade, Vietnam has become one of the most largest manufacturing hubs in the world. US becoming the largest export market to Vietnam, with over 30% of its exports done. And Vietnam's trade surplus with US has crossed $100 billion. Now imagine that you order a food for 200 rupees and the bill gets 300. You didn't change the order, but the prices surged automatically. This is what tariffs are. But the real question here is, who does actually pay these tariffs? Is it American companies? Is it Vietnam? Or is it just the ordinary consumers? Well, today the story is not just about Vietnam's tariff, but how fragile this global system really is. A single decision made in Washington can shut down the production lines and can change the prices 1,000 miles away. Now imagine that you're losing $25 billion of exports just overnight. This was a potential shock that Vietnam faced when US imposed tariff on it. And this threat went even deeper when some economists warned Vietnam that their GDP could reduce to 8 to 10%. Now I would like to show you one video.
The US decides to keep these tariffs in place for a long time. With higher costs on Vietnamese goods, American buyers might start looking elsewhere, to countries like India, Bangladesh, or Mexico, to source the same products at cheaper prices. If that happens, Vietnam's exports to the US will drop, and so its trade surplus. To put this into perspective, let's pull up the graph on Vietnam's net trade 2023. Vietnam had a net trade in goods of over $35 billion, and that is a massive figure. If US tariffs were put in place for a very long time, then it could spell disaster for Vietnam's economy. But what's going to get hit more is Vietnam's foreign reserves. If we graph out Vietnam's foreign reserves, we get to see that Vietnam doesn't actually have a lot of foreign reserves. For 2023, they only have $92.24 billion, which means that Trump's tariffs could put real pressure on Vietnam's ability to maintain economic stability.
See how deeply connected the global world really is. Now I have a question to our judges. What do you think? Do these tariffs actually protect the domestic industries, or they just fragment the global economy?
That's the reason you should never put the market in the market. That is the pushback
Exactly, you are right.
But here's the case. While you were raising this question, my mind was towards the other aspect. Like the US is making so much of money. How they are going to invest the same money? Because there was something related to the income tax, which was health, but I hope you have read that. You might have it is making Vietnam a little down, but it is bringing the US little upwards. What is US doing with the money which they are earning through the tariffs? It's trying exploring that because the world is never the same. If you are gaining, if you are losing, one section is losing, other section is gaining. Right. Have you tried exploring that?
Sorry, that I have exposed the perspective of Vietnam, right? So here's a twist. Instead of reacting emotionally, Vietnam responded strategically. It signed the trade agreements with Europe. It strengthened ties with Asia, and it also encouraged companies to diversify their exports. Because here smart economies follow one rule, that never depend upon one market, never rely on one buyer, and never keep all your exports in one basket. So here Vietnam's story proves a very powerful truth. That in the chessboard of a global trade, the winners are not the biggest ones. They are the smartest ones. The one who adapts, the one who diversifies, and who are always ready for the next move. So when tariff closes one door, countries open new trade routes. Thank you and have a nice day.
Insightful perspective, Aditi. What we see through Vietnam's experience is how tariff policies do not just restrict trade, they redirect it. Some economies may gain short-term opportunities, but they also face long-term uncertainties and consequences due to shifting global supply chains. This raises an important point. While tariffs are designed as economic protection, they often reshape global production patterns in unpredictable ways. Now we'll resume the panel after a short break, and I'd like to welcome back the actors to the stage. Thank you to all our panelists for such an insightful and thought-provoking discussion. The perspectives shared on the global implications of America's tariff policies have truly helped us understand how trade decisions impact economies across the borders. Now, I would like to request Dr. Jyotsna Oswal ma'am to kindly felicitate Sheetal Chadha ma'am with a sample.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Moving forward, as a part of a dynamic blend of role play and panel discussion, it's time to explore another dimension of this issue through an engaging role play performance. So now let's call our narrator who will take us through this global economic landscape. Let's welcome her with a huge and energetic round of applause.
Part 2, Scene 1, the factory layoffs. As global tariffs disrupt international trade, businesses begin to feel the pressure. Cancelled US orders create tension for Chetala. The fear of losses pushes them into worry. But trade shifts also create new local opportunities. When international supply chains slow down, domestic demand increases. A new contract from a local hotel developer replaced the cancelled foreign orders. The scene shows an important message. While tariffs may cause losses in global market, but they can also redirect growth toward local businesses. Sometimes what feels like an economic setback turns into a chance for domestic progress.
बाकी को लगता लग गई इतना लॉस हो गया तो मैं बाबूजी को क्या कर दिखाऊंगा आज रात गोडाउन में सोना पड़ेगा
सेठ जी सेठ जी सेठ जी सेठ जी जय बोले सेठ जी नहीं रहे
के मरने का माता करा रहे हो बोलो
हमें जवाब
वो चाहते ही ये में मर जाओ ये में मर गया
नहीं भगवान स्टार्ट Congratulations! Celebration! होगी हमारी दुकान बनते हैं।
इस बात का नाम गाना लगा रखा है।
सेठ जी, ये गुड न्यूज़ है।
गुड न्यूज़? एक दिन पहले तो गलती हुई थी, रिसेंटली गुड न्यूज़। क्या हो गया बेटा?
सेठ जी, गुड न्यूज़ ये नहीं सेठ जी, तुम्हारे को रमेश भाई ने 400 टिकट ऑर्डर दिया है।
क्या बात कर रहे हो लड़के काका? ये तो आपकी वाली से भी बड़ी गुड न्यूज़ है। भाई ये ऑर्डर मिला कैसे हमें?
सेठ जी, ये जो टैरिफ के चक्कर में ये जो सारे ऑर्डर्स पहले यूएस कंपनी और डीलर्स को आते थे ना, अब इसी टैरिफ के चक्कर में ये सारे ऑर्डर्स हमें इंडियन डीलर्स को आ रहे हैं। ये सुनने तो मजा आ गया लड़के काका। तुम आना क्या हमें पार्टी
पार्टी नहीं पार्टी शादी रुक अभी थोड़ी और हो गए तो
सेठ जी पहले ऑर्डर्स सारी लिस्ट देख लो एक बार दिखाओ तो बताओ सेठ जी आने वाले गुलामी के साथ ना आपने मैंने बुला लिया है
वाओ थैंक यू आपने देखा मुझे जिंदगी भर याद रहेगा नॉनसेंस
C2. Impact on US. Mr. Samuel's business received more orders, but without affordable steel, production slows down. Higher import costs means lower profit and rising pressure. At home, the excitement of growth turns into financial concern. While the parents worry about survival and stability, Emily represents a generation untouched by immediate fear focused on lifestyle, unaware of the economic stream. The scenes show how global trade policies don't stay in boardrooms, they travel into factories, into businesses, and finally into family conversations.
Hi, what's the good news? I know there will be orders. What? There is shortage of raw materials and prices are getting high. Wait, let me make some calls.
I guess the business was doing quite good.
Yes, it is going good. We are getting orders. But guess what?
Dad, after the Paris on vacation,
Emily, can you be serious for once? Yes, we are getting orders. But we are in short of raw materials. Indian exporters are not exporting their goods to US, which is resulting to lack of materials and high prices.
seems like a serious issue. I totally want to celebrate your story. Anything can happen. Dad, can you tell me of your credit card?
Sure, Emily, what happened?
Actually, my coach bag just likes her to pay for that.
Emily, my daughter, are you even understanding the seriousness of the situation? We are short on funds and parcels. I told you not to spoil her, right? Please cancel my subscriptions. And you were grounded, right? What are you doing here? Go back to your room and do your work.
Please, Dad, don't
government must think about the public, not their propaganda. We will for sure figure out something.
Scene 3, the debate. The room is quiet, but the stakes are loud. Leaders from across the globe have gathered to decide on tariffs. Taxes that can either shield their nations or spark tension between them. Every country wants growth. Every leader wants protection. But in a connected world, one decision never affects just one nation.
Welcome back to BBC News. As we know, Mr. Trump was joining us. Well, here's the news. Mr. Trump has arrived. And it's welcome to continue the issue of tariffs. Let us welcome the President of USA, Mr. Trump.
We got happy to meet you. You can see that.
What is she even saying? And
I just said that USA should have to go into this. Let's hope this ends well.
what's it with Andy?
Mr. Trump, please have a seat. Please have a seat so we can continue with our show. So, ladies, you can ask questions to each other directly. We have been waiting for a long time, but tariffs now? Why?
It's simple, really. The leaders before me were completely useless. I am making America great again. I want my workers to prosper and to grow.
Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Mr. President is asking, we have seen its great impact on US. We don't have raw material, what will you do?
We will reduce. It's simple. And if you want to sell in America, you just have to pay a little extra. No working around it.
Production cost also higher because, right?
See.
We will just buy from other good countries like Pakistan. Who is this dirty fella? Who are you?
रमान डकैत नाम है मेरा सुनो पाकिस्तान से डील करोगे
Say it. What can we even give America? What can you give us?
असला बारूद बम जो चाहिए सब मिलेगा
America does not need friends like you. Someone, please, security. Please, get him off.
Hey, security!
Hey, get up! Get up!
India loves you.
You are a great leader. Everyone knows India because of you. However, tariffs are here to stay. No one is exempt from tariffs, even a friend or not.
तो इंडिया भी चुप नहीं रहेगा इंडिया भी सामने जाएगा
ये रोल प्ले यही खत्म होता है मिलते हैं आज के अगले रोल प्ले में अगले इवेंट में
In the end, tariffs are not about power, they are about people. Not about headlines, but about hearts. If families grow stronger, the policy works. Because government may decide, but it is the people who truly
unbelievably eye-opening performance. What a powerful and thought-provoking journey we just went on. We hope it helped you reflect on how America's tariff policies directly affect different nations. So let's give a huge round of applause for presenting such a compelling global perspective.
As we have uncovered the fascinating international viewpoints, it's time to take this discussion forward. Continuing with our tradition of an insightful panel discussion, we are again thrilled to invite our moderator, Khushi Varma, who will help us deep dive into the broader economic impact of America's tariff policies.
Welcome back to the second part of our panel discussion. Let's welcome a wonderful panelist on the stage, Khushi Makija from BA Economics second year representing Germany. Anushka Vidya from BBA third year representing China. Arvind Katyal from BBA second year representing USA. Ali Ahmad from BBA second year concluding the panel. In the first half, we explored how US tariff policies have influenced developing and trade-dependent economies. We observed how tariffs that redirect supply chains, disrupt partnerships, and create both opportunity and uncertainty. At the core, tariffs are designed to protect domestic industries and correct trade imbalances. This brings us to a country that has been the center of attention and recent tariff disputes, facing direct restrictions, counter tariffs, and shifting global alliances. Would China like to share how these tariff measures impacted its economic growth and trade relationships? Yes, Khushi, I can. Yes, we can, Anushka. Good afternoon,
the US decides to keep.
Breaking.
Good afternoon, everyone. With US imposed tariff on China, the message sounding strong. We are going to make China pay. But what actually happened inside China? The US tariff directly impacted China's trade. China is often called world's factory. It produces machinery, electronics, clothing, and everyday goods for the global market, especially for the US. So when US placed tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Chinese products, the demand from the US slowed down. Some factories faced pressure, export growth reduced, and companies experienced uncertainty. But China didn't stop. It adjusted. Many companies began trading more to Asia, Africa, and Europe. Some even shifted parts of their production in countries like Vietnam to reduce tariff pressure. So the global supply chain didn't collapse, it simply changed direction. The global tariff tension also pushed China to be more self-confident. China's government increased investment in domestic industries and encouraged local consumption. It focused more on innovation and technology in the areas like semiconductors and advanced technology. Yes, there were challenges. Investors' confidence was shaken. Some multinational companies reduced their dependence on China, and even China's economic growth slowed during peak trade tension. So, did US tariff hurt China? Yes, especially in the short term. But they stopped China's economic rise? No. Instead, They forced China to diversify its market, strengthen domestic industries, and rethink its global trade plan. I would like to say that the impact of tariff on China is not just about economic pressure. It's about long-term transformation. Thank you.
For clearly outlining how the retaliatory tariffs, export slowdowns, and rising trade tensions have affected China's economic momentum and global trade partnerships. What this reveals is that tariff conflicts rarely remain limited to trade. They spill into diplomacy, innovation, and long-term strategic positioning. The economic battle gradually transforms into a larger power struggle. Having heard from one of the central players in this dispute, it is equally important to understand the perspective of the country that initiated many of these measures. Would United States like to explain the reasoning and intended outcomes behind these tariff policies?
Yes, indeed, we would love to.
Yes, you may, Adam.
So when the tariffs are imposed from Washington, all the shopkeepers had raised their prices, the workers had lost their overtime jobs, and even the families had to pay a little bit more without even knowing why. And this was small chain reaction tells us how tariffs can look really, really tough on paper. But the real question arises, who actually pays the costs? So when the tariffs are imposed, of course the impost gets really, really costly. And when they do, the large corporations can easily incur the losses. But what about the MSMEs? What about the small investors? For those, $45 billion of trade deficit has been there just for the MSMEs of USA itself. And when they have so much losses, what will they even do? They either cut their costs or they either increase their prices. For cutting the costs, according to CFR.gov, 72,000 jobs have been lost, most of them being just in the labor sector. And this really arises the question of job security in the most secure market, in the most secure job market, that is the US itself. And about the increase of prices done by the MSMEs, there's a whole survey done by the US Bureau of Labor Statistics showing that the bread loaf, the white bread loaf, used to cost $1.35, and now it costs $2.50. And all of this does include a lot of inflation as well. Now imagine this being a middle class person having to meet the ends really carefully, but then basic tomatoes, basic furniture, and even the bread prices increases. And that too after the inflation as well. Well, there's no another policy made by USA as well for this. In the conclusion, I would like to add the point that yes, there is a lot of political advantages of the propagandas of make USA great again. But is it really worth 72,000 jobs being lost and MSMEs having to care about where to get their raw materials from rather than actual growth? When talking about growth, we need to also talk about the lower middle income people, the citizens who are lower middle income. For them, I would like to show something. I've made these roses from tissue paper. Well, quite what settling, right? Roses are meant to be really blossoming, really lovely. But tissues, this reflects the value and the realities of lower middle income people in the USA right now. When the tariffs are meant to be really blossoming like the rose, it surely tells us the lower middle income people, the consumers of the USA, have turned fragile just like a tissue paper. So please take a look. As you can see, the tissues are quite torn, aren't they? This also depicts the shock which have been caused by this random tariffs. Absolute shock, that is. Thank you.
Presenting the US rationale behind implementing tariffs, particularly the focus on protecting domestic industries, reducing dependency, and addressing trade imbalances. What becomes evident is that even for the country imposing tariffs, the
consequences are not one-sided. While certain industries may benefit, others, including businesses reliant on imports and everyday consumers, share the burden. Beyond the direct participants in this dispute, global economic powers that rely heavily on exports also experience ripple effects. Would Germany like to share how these broader trade disruptions have influenced its export-driven economy?
Sure, Kushi, I would like to take over.
Yes, you may, Kushi.
Guten Abend alle. Ich repräsentiere Deutschland. Good afternoon, everyone, and I am representing Germany. Respected moderator and my fellow panelists, before we debate policy, let's talk about consequences. Imagine a worker leaving factory and wondering, will I be able to operate my factory tomorrow? Or imagine a consumer like us consuming certain commodity and wondering, will I be able to afford this commodity tomorrow or not? Because somewhere far away, a tariff has been signed. Because when Washington sneezes, the whole Europe, and in fact, the Berlin catches cold. It is rightly said by Ronald Reagan, a tariff is a tax and it prominently leaves its fingerprints on prices, production, and most painfully, people. When the United States raises its barriers, the tower strikes Germany, the export hub or the heart of Europe. For a country where nearly half of the GDP is tied to trade, this does not remain as an economic theory. When I talk about sectors which are affected, specifically Volkswagen, BMW, Mercedes-Benz Group, overnight they are forced to take painful decisions such as where the next car or where the next job will be built. When we talk about Simon and Bosch, they keep the global industry moving, and overnight all the investments are vanished. BAS is known for their supply chains refined over the years, and Tariff, they fracture the core of that. I said that GDP for a country where nearly half of the GDP is tied to trade. By that I mean their income solely depends upon exports. So this does not remain as an economic theory for us, for the people of Germany. It fractures us, it hampers our growth and causes a lot of problems, such as slower industrial output, delayed capital expenditure, and heavy pressure on Mittelstand, which is the small and medium enterprises of Germany and the economic spine of Germany, and the human cost, which is unbearable, unrecoverable, and it hampers our growth in such a way that stock markets crash, investors are hesitant, and cautious hiring and cautious hours of unbearable pressure. It is rightly said by Angel Merkel, isolation is not the solution. So what does Berlin do? It is not the problem of Germany because Germans are still living the consequences of the tariff order which was signed in Washington. A tariff acts like a white devil because devil does not stand in the lines of customs. It is us who are bearing with it. German workers are working day and night and still bearing with this, and it is not that even our problem. The tariffs, they don't just explode, they erode the confidence, the planning, the hope of people. Tariffs imposed in Washington but affects the lives of people in Berlin, Hamburg, Munich. German's economic model is based upon openness, rule-based long-term commitment, and partnerships. But why are we getting affected? Isn't it the harsh reality of today's trade when one country raises its barrier and nobody is left untouched? Berlin comes up with the solution by building ties with countries like India, Canada, Japan, and a recent achievement, a free trade agreement between India and the European Union, known as mother of all deals. So when asked who really pays, can anybody answer that for me?
Yes. I think everyone bears the consequences somehow or the other.
Yes. It may be that Americans are paying with certain higher prices, but it is the German workers billing and facing the consequences like a domino effect. The industries are working and operating below their factory output. Regional economies are slowing down. I would like to say that in the end, tariff, in my conviction, when leaders will learn to impose tariffs on prices and not the people, because it ripples through heart of people, industries, workers, and it is affecting our common shared future. In the end, tariffs should not remain as a zero-sum game. It should remain as a game where both sides should win. Thank you. Duncan.
Rishi for emphasizing how even indirect exposure to tariff conflicts can slow growth and unsettle global demand. From developing economies to manufacturing hubs, from direct targets to indirect stakeholders, we see that the cost of tariffs is widely distributed. This brings us back to a central question: who really pays? Would someone like to conclude our discussion from a holistic global standpoint?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you may, Ali.
We have heard today about a world divided by boundaries. Boundaries built out of tariffs and fluctuating rates that have kept the global markets on the edge. But as I close today's panel, I want to ask a simple question. Who does these tariffs affect? Does it affect the policymakers or the billionaires? तकलीफ कौन सहता है? भूख से तड़पता कौन है? किसी ने सही कहा था, गरीब रोटी चुरा के चोर हो जाता है और लोग मुल्क खा जाते हैं कानून लिखते लिखते। It is not paid, the price is not paid by the policymakers or billionaires. It is paid by the family of an innocent farmer who died by suicide due to debt or the increased tariff on his crop. He was a victim of a broken system where the harvest was plenty, but the cost of entry was his life. When we talk about global impact, what do we mean, sir?
Fact is like, but everybody agree that we have positive and negatives.
Certainly, there's a huge human cost. We should not look away from it. Let's also look at that. In 2025, when the tariffs escalated, there was an increased tax on the poor. For every 1% of inflation, thousands of mothers in middle class home, whether in Mumbai, Monterey, or Monaco, doesn't matter, was forced to cut back on her groceries. Why? Because her basic nutrition for her family became a luxury. Along with this, we must understand and acknowledge the silent desperation in the global manufacturing hubs. Experts predicted that over 20 million jobs were on the brink of collapse during the 2025 escalation. When a career vanishes, it does not just break a budget, it shatters an individual's sense of self and their place in the story. A tariff change is not just a tax on the working class, but it is a theft of their dignity. The de-escalation we are seeing in the early 2026 is our breathing room, whether it be the India-US deal or whether it be the tariff cuts. We are at a crossroad where we can either choose to be victims of a trade cold war or victors of a more resilient and more diversified global economy. We must grab this opportunity to build a world which protects the rights of weavers, farmers, and small-scale workers over the political narrative. A single tweet from a superpower must not decide whether a family in Assam eats tonight or not. Who really pays? The working class does. But if we stand together, if we innovate, if we diversify, we can change this. Let us ensure that the world of 2026 and beyond does not just survive the trade war, it outbuild the tariff boundaries. Thank you.
Today's discussion makes it evident that America's tariff policies may aim to protect national interests, but an economic burden is shared globally by exporting nations, importing businesses, workers, and ultimately the consumers. In a deeply interconnected world, the true cost of tariffs extends far beyond borders, reminding us that trade policies require global cooperation rather than just unilateral action. Now, I would like to invite all of the panelists on stage for the Q&A round.
Let's have a huge round of applause for our wonderful panelists. Next session, there will be 2 awards for the best questions asked. So I encourage everyone to participate actively. If you think you can ask such questions, then our panelists are ready to answer any questions you have. Yes, please have a like that. Yes, yes.
Good afternoon. I am Mayank and I joined the panel discussion. But I have 2 questions. Like I have read the news like last week that India is increasing their tariff to tariff priorities in European Union. So why is it so? So what's the role of this diversification actually? And my second question is that I also read that US is nowadays increasing tariff. So what's the panelist opinion regarding this?
I would like I would like to answer your question, Maya. Talking about impact of tariffs of India's relation with European Union. See, this mother of all deals was signed to reduce the tariff pressure caused by other countries such as USA. It is done to help to FTA basically means free trade agreement. And mother of all deals it is named because its negotiation started from 2006. It came down to 2026 because it was creating so much pressure by US, causing if a commodity was 200, but we have to pay 300 for that. So to reduce the pressures and to build ties with certain good countries, and European Union combines all the countries, in fact of Eurasia and all the European countries. So it was building a good tie so that it does not create pressure on one country. Answering your second question, Maya, US is now reducing the tariffs because I feel that global economy is deeply interconnected. And no country, no matter how strong it is, cannot work in that isolation. Every country, somewhere or the other, strives for their comparative advantage. And now US is negotiating their trade barriers. Why? Because they have seen that that imposing tariffs was a political move, but it is deepening the economy, the industries and the businesses. That's why it is the need for the US to reduce the tariffs to the countries.
Mayank, I would like to ask you your first question. When we use map and we go the wrong way, it does not say तुम गलत चले गए. It redirects and shows us the best way because the route further has changed. Because the tariffs changed, there were certain opportunities which were closed and new were open, and there were certain hardships and obstacles which we had which were kept away. So because these things change, that is why it was the priority of the Indian government to make deal with the euro.
Answering your first question, Mayank, never put all of the eggs in one basket. If US has put some taxes and some tariffs on us, we cannot just wait and do nothing about it. We got to create our new geopolitics. We got to take a stand in this geopolitics, and we got to take a stand for our consumers and business.
I hope that answers your question. Any other question from the judges or the audience? Okay, can we have the line back, please?
My question is, does being globally connected mean being weak or being influential in multiple markets?
Can you repeat just a second?
Does being globally connected mean being weak or being influential in multiple markets?
I believe being globally connected cannot be related to being weak. We live in a world we cannot achieve everything alone. To do certain projects, we need different minds, different ideologies to bring together one thing. If we're doing a project and we require different mindsets and different ideologies, and now we're talking about something which is more prominent, like nations working together, coming down to certain solutions to big problems. We have certain summits like G20 and all to counter certain problems. Why not the geopolitics and tariff? And it does not relate to being weak because working together gives us new opportunities, new thoughts, how to counter such big problems.
Tanisha, I think that, as I already mentioned, that no country can work in isolation. Every country wants a comparative advantage, and that only comes when you do dealings with others. And I don't feel that staying global is make countries weak. It makes countries strong. But the thing, what we need to remember is that we must stay global, but don't stay dependent. पता चले कि आपने you are just dependent on them and you are not self-reliant, you are not doing anything by your own. That is wonderful answer by a panelist.
If I'm in a sitting with my panelists here, that does never makes me weak. I will never actually make me weak. It actually makes me strong, it makes me more confident, and it also helps me to gather more points. It helps me to diversify my own perspectives. Same in geopolitics. Yes, there is a lot of politics and it's a lot of details as well. But I think overall, connectivity of the whole world will lead to the world's success.
Question from the judges. My question is to the entire of the panel here, because everybody was trying to figure out who really cares, and everybody I think answered towards the same thing. The weaker section of the society pays. But do they really have any solutions? I mean, as that section, if I ask you to give me the solution, we have understood the problem clearly, but I'm looking at the solutions as the young generation, as the representative of those people who you have highlighted the stories here. What solutions do you offer?
So the first solution is for the head of the government by making some policies, and the second solution which I can think of is not just solely depending upon one country. Yes, geopolitics is absolutely important, but we cannot pedestalize one country, and we cannot just, if one person comes up and puts status, it shall not and shall never actually affect the lives of the person so much that this comes to say. So
Are you hinting towards deglobalization?
no, I'm not hinting to myself.
You're saying that you should be self-reliant.
I'm trying to say we shall not prioritize one country always at the same time. That is the World Health Organization.
Which is the best word for this? Like, is it diversification?
I'll say it as diversification.
I would like to add on this. I feel that WTO also plays a very important role here. Like we see that it is a World Trade Organization which mediates all the tariffs and the trade policies among the countries. I feel that it should interfere and it should come in between to adjust and mediate the policies of the two countries. It should not be the case that I am the powerful country and I can decide for that. It should not be the case that now the tariffs is being imposed on one country and they are just dependent. There should be a mediation between the two. And WTO is also a judicial body which can do for readiness. Is it a ruthless organization? Like, you have these signing off from the various organizations. I personally feel that the work which WTO should do is not in the matters. Like, I feel personally. But that is very, very difficult topic again.
I want to add to that diversifying would be a helpful solution, as geopolitics is not just about being dependent on someone, it's about diversifying. And as you mentioned before, tariffs are paid at the border, but they are more felt at the supermarket, and that's why diversification would be a great help.
I believe geopolitics is a fine line between dependency and building ties with and strengthening ties. It does not mean India has great ties with Russia from the maritime and all other countries. That doesn't mean we're stopping our globalization and ties with other countries. But if I take the example, how do we focus on solution? Because of Russia-Ukraine war, there was a lot of tariffs and solid foreign work from US to Russia. What did Russia do? They don't have McDonald's in Russia. They are building their own local fast food chains. So this is a sort of a solution which will focus on this. And adding to the point of WTO, I believe WTO is not that helpful for us because it is more of a bias towards United States and does not follow policies
much more, and US hold prominent power over their decisions. So I do believe international organizations work, but not properly. They do consider and do bias this with certain countries. And one of the prominent examples of that was the veto power used against Shashi Tharoor at the UN jail. So I feel it's not that right and prominently. I would like to add something. I feel like we should never be dependent on a single country that much. For example, like USA is tariffs and all the countries get hugely effective. But we should find opportunities. For like China, they find different routes. They didn't just stop. They diversified. They started to integrate over in other countries. There's always an option for opportunity. We should just look at it. We can always produce things in our own country if we find the opportunity.
Was all of them was that the more working people suffers. To ask what they do. We are not the we are not the government. I think what we do my quality of life by taking appropriate decisions which are related to my business. That's what I think.
That was a very interactive session. And this stage is all yours now.
I request you who ask the questions to please come up on the stage.
I would like to call Mrs. Deepti Khanna ma'am for the Indonesia Awards. So you want to say words for anybody out there, the panelists and also the panelists that such a way, such a good mind, such like to think of mind, very good also as the answers that you gave, like you're probably the listeners, and the right answers, all of them. Really, really appreciate it. And for the audience, please pay attention here also.
My friends who were nowhere at this village, frankly, guys were doing amazing job, and I should encourage the audience also. Any kind of a debate or any kind of a panel discussion, keep forwarding yourself, and this is the great platform for everybody or anybody. And I should say this hats off to all the people who have organized this and the people who have participated. Even role play. Everybody was doing super job for the best for the results, and I guess everybody is doing best in advance. Don't be disheartened. Everybody has the best.
Yeah, so we'll be announcing the awards. At the same point in time, I would like to say a few words for the organizer and for the people who are sitting as an audience. Very intuitive questions coming from the audience as well. The audience have been supportive of. So, once we are saying all these things, let's hear a round of applause for yourself. Bringing out everything on such a platform, such a commendable job, man, and everybody else, who were there at the student teams. Thank you so much. We have really enjoyed.
Absolutely. Good 3 hours of fine actually. No disregards for the event and amazing job. I want to come again and again and again for listening this kind of events. I'm sure we keep on inviting even for as an audience also. Because usually we are not in these kind of topics because the daily action is quite different. We don't get time about this, but by sitting here, doing all these things, now I can speak to somebody even today also by sitting in a different meeting. So it was helpful for myself also. Thank you so much.
Yes, and the whole watching Kapil Sharma live. Fabulous, commendable efforts, all of those. Yes, thank you.